close your eyes for a moment. Now, imagine standing in a place where the sun refuses to set for weeks, where silence isn't just the absence of sound, but something you can actually feel on your skin. Picture a land covered in snow so pure, it glows blue under the moonlight. And then, just when you think nothing more magical could happen, the sky itself starts dancing. Welcome to Finland. But here's what most people don't know. This isn't just another pretty country with nice views. Finland is consistently ranked as the happiest place on Earth. Not just for 1 year, but year after year after year. And I'll be honest with you, when I first heard that, I was skeptical. How can a country where winter darkness lasts for months, where temperatures drop to minus 40 degrees, where the sun literally disappears for weeks, how can that be the happiest place in the world? That question brought me here. And what I discovered? It changed everything I thought I knew about happiness, about nature, and about what it truly means to live well. Over the next 30 minutes, I'm taking you on a journey, not just through Finland's breathtaking landscapes, but into its soul. We'll stand beneath the northern lights in Lapland, explore medieval castles that have witnessed centuries of history, meet the indigenous Sami people who've lived in harmony with nature for thousands of years, and discover why Finnish people have a special word, sisu, that the rest of the world is only beginning to understand. So grab a warm drink, get comfortable, and let me show you a country that most people only dream about. This is Finland, and trust me, you've never seen anything like it. Let's start with something mind-blowing. Finland has 188,000 lakes. Yes, you heard that right. Not 18, not 1,800. 188,000 lakes. They call it the land of 1,000 lakes. But that nickname doesn't even come close to the truth. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, lots of lakes. So what? But here's the thing. These aren't just bodies of water. Each lake tells a story that began over 10,000 years ago, when massive glaciers slowly melted and carved out the landscape. Some of these lakes are older than any human civilization we know. They were here before the pyramids, before ancient Rome, before writing itself was invented. And it's not just the lakes. 75% of Finland is covered in forests. Imagine that for a second. 3/4 of an entire country blanketed in trees. These aren't manicured parks or controlled woodlands. These are wild, ancient forests where pine trees grow for hundreds of years, where the air is so clean it's actually measurable, where you can walk for hours and not see another human soul. But Finland's magic doesn't stop at its natural beauty. There's something deeper here, something in the Finnish character itself. The people here have this concept called sisu. There's no perfect translation in English, but it's basically a combination of determination, resilience, and courage in the face of adversity. It's not about being fearless. It's about being afraid and doing it anyway. It's about getting knocked down and standing back up again and again. This spirit of sisu has defined Finland throughout its history. This small nation gained independence only in 1917, making it younger than many people's grandparents. Before that, it was ruled by Sweden for over 600 years, then Russia for another century. But through it all, the Finnish spirit never broke. And maybe that's why they understand happiness differently than the rest of us. They know that joy isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about finding peace despite it. Now, speaking of peace, let me paint you a picture. It's summer in Finland, around midnight. But here's the crazy part. The sun is still up. It's hanging low on the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink that seem impossible. This is the midnight sun, and in the northernmost parts of Finland, it lasts for weeks. The sun literally doesn't set. Time becomes fluid. You can go hiking at 11 p.m., have a sauna at 2 a.m., and watch the sunrise without ever seeing sunset. And then, 6 months later, the exact opposite happens. Winter arrives, and the sun barely rises at all. Some places experience kamos, the polar night, where darkness reigns for weeks. Now, you might think this would be depressing, but Finns have mastered the art of embracing darkness. They light candles everywhere, gather in cozy spaces, and turn their homes into warm sanctuaries against the cold outside. Let's start our actual journey where most visitors do. In Helsinki, Finland's capital city. But don't expect a typical capital. Helsinki is different. It's a city that somehow feels both grand and intimate at the same time. Picture this. You're standing in Senate Square, the historic heart of Helsinki. In front of you rises the Helsinki Cathedral, this magnificent white building with green copper domes that gleam against the sky. It looks like something from a fairy tale, with its neoclassical columns and pristine facade. But here's what's interesting. This cathedral was built in the mid-1800s when Finland was under Russian rule, yet it doesn't look Russian at all. It's purely European in style, showing Finland's constant dance between different cultural influences. Walking through Helsinki, you immediately notice something unusual. The city is incredibly quiet. Not dead quiet, but peacefully quiet. People don't shout. Cars don't honk unnecessarily. And there's this general respect for shared space that you don't find in most capitals. Finns value silence. They don't see it as awkward or something to fill with small talk. Silence is comfortable here, natural, but don't mistake quiet for boring. Helsinki pulses with creativity and innovation. The design district, covering 25 streets in the heart of the city, showcases why Finnish design is famous worldwide. Clean lines, functionality, and beauty working together. Whether it's furniture, fashion, or architecture, Finnish design always asks, does this serve a real purpose, and is it beautiful? Both must be yes. One building you absolutely cannot miss is the Tempeliukio Church, nicknamed the Rock Church. And the name is literal. This church is carved directly into solid granite rock. From outside, you might walk right past it. It just looks like a rocky hill. But step inside, and you enter this incredible space where rough stone walls meet modern architecture. The acoustics are so perfect that concerts are held here regularly. Standing inside, surrounded by ancient rock with light filtering through the copper and glass dome above, you feel this connection between earth and sky, past and present. Now let's talk about Finnish food for a moment, because Helsinki is where you'll get your first taste, literally, of Finnish cuisine. Forget everything you think you know about Nordic food being bland or boring. At the old market hall, which has been operating since 1889, you'll find vendors selling traditional delicacies. There's fresh salmon from the Baltic Sea, smoked fish, Karelian pasties, these oval-shaped pastries filled with rice or potato, and my personal favorite, cinnamon buns called korvapusti, which translates to slapped ears because of their shape. But the real Finnish food experience isn't complete without understanding their relationship with nature. Finns have this beautiful tradition called every man's right, joka miehen oikeus. It means anyone can roam freely in nature, pick wild berries and mushrooms, and even camp temporarily on uncultivated land. So in late summer, you'll see Helsinki residents with baskets, heading to nearby forests to pick blueberries, lingonberries, and mushrooms. They don't see nature as something separate from city life. It's all connected. Just a short ferry ride from Helsinki's harbor lies one of the most remarkable historical sites in all of Europe, Suomenlinna Fortress. And when I say fortress, I mean it. This isn't just a single castle. It's an entire system of fortifications spread across 6 islands, connected by bridges and passages, with walls and bastions that have stood for over 250 years. Here's the fascinating part about Suomenlinna's history. It was built by Sweden in the mid-1700s to defend against Russian expansion. They called it Sveaborg, Sweden's fortress. It took 40 years and thousands of workers to complete. But in 1808, despite its massive fortifications, Russia captured it. And for the next century, while Finland was under Russian control, this fortress became a Russian naval base. Then, when Finland gained independence in 1917, Suomenlinna became Finnish. 3 nations, 1 fortress, each left their mark. Walking through Suomenlinna today, you're literally walking through layers of history. Swedish-designed walls, Russian Orthodox Church, and Finnish museums, all coexisting on these rocky islands. But here's what makes Suomenlinna truly special. About 800 people actually live here year-round. It's not just a museum or tourist attraction. It's a living community. There are schools, shops, restaurants, and residential buildings tucked between the fortress walls. Imagine your daily commute being a ferry ride past seals lounging on rocks, and your neighborhood being a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The fortress walls themselves tell stories. They're made from massive granite blocks, quarried from these very islands. In some places, you can still see cannon marks from battles centuries ago. Underground tunnels connect different parts of the fortress. These narrow, dark passages, where soldiers once ran carrying ammunition, where prisoners were held, where secrets were whispered in wartime. During summer, Suomenlinna becomes a favorite picnic spot for Helsinki residents. They pack baskets with food, take the ferry over, and spend entire days on the grassy ramparts, looking out over the Baltic Sea. In winter, when the sea freezes, some people actually walk across the ice to reach the islands, though this is only for the brave and experienced. Now, let's travel to where Finland's story really began. Turku, on the southwestern coast. This is Finland's oldest city, founded nearly 800 years ago, and it served as the capital for centuries before Helsinki took that title. The Ora River flows through the heart of Turku, and along its banks, you'll find old wooden sailing ships permanently moored, now serving as restaurants and museums. These ships are reminders of Turk's identity as a major Baltic Sea trading port. Merchants from across Europe once unloaded spices, silk, and wine on these docks. But Turku's crown jewel is definitely Turku Castle. This massive medieval fortress dates back to 1280, making it one of the oldest buildings in Finland. Walking through it is like stepping into a time machine. The stone walls are incredibly thick. We're talking meters thick, designed to withstand sieges and cannon fire. Some rooms have low ceilings with heavy wooden beams. Others open into grand halls where, Swedish kings once held court. The castle has seen everything: lavish royal weddings, brutal battles, periods as a prison where condemned prisoners spent their last days in dark cells. One particularly eerie part of the castle is the dungeon section. These are tiny windowless rooms carved into the rock below the castle. The only light comes from small openings in the doors. Standing there, you can almost feel the weight of history pressing down. But Turku isn't frozen in the past. The city has this wonderful energy where medieval buildings stand next to modern glass structures. Students from Turku University, one of Finland's oldest, fill the cafes and riverside paths. There's a thriving cultural scene with theaters, art museums, and music festivals. Oh, and here's a fun fact. Every Christmas Eve at noon, there's a tradition that has continued since 1320. The Christmas Peace is declared from Turku's Old Great Square. A procession arrives, and someone reads a declaration that essentially says everyone should observe Christmas in peace and quiet. It's broadcast throughout Finland and marks the official beginning of Christmas celebrations. This tradition has survived wars, regime changes, and centuries of transformation. Turku also has this magnificent cathedral, consecrated in 1300, making it the mother church of the Lutheran Church of Finland. It's where significant national events have taken place, where kings were crowned, and where the church continues to play a central role in Finnish spiritual life. The cathedral's bells have rung through 7 centuries of Finnish history. Heading inland, nestled between 2 massive lakes, we find Tampere. This city has a completely different vibe from either Helsinki or Turku. Tampere was Finland's industrial powerhouse. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, this is where the factories were, where textiles were manufactured, where the working class built their lives. But here's where Tampere gets interesting. Those old red brick factories, instead of tearing them down, Finns transformed them. Now they house art galleries, trendy restaurants, boutique shops, and cultural spaces. The industrial heritage isn't hidden or demolished. It's celebrated and reimagined. The city sits on a narrow isthmus between Lake Nesijärvi and Lake Pyhäjärvi, connected by the Tammerkoski Rapids. These rapids literally powered Tampere's industrial revolution. The rushing water turned mill wheels, which powered looms and machinery. You can still walk along the rapids today, watching the water cascade down, and imagine how this natural force transformed an entire region. Now, I have to tell you about something unique to Tampere. This city claims to be the sauna capital of the world, and they're probably right. There are more public saunas here than anywhere else in Finland. And remember, Finland already has more saunas than cars as a country, so that's saying something. The most famous is Rajaportti Sauna, which opened in 1906, making it Finland's oldest continuously operating public sauna. Walking into Rajaportti is like stepping back in time. It's a traditional smoke sauna, which means there's no chimney. The smoke from the fire fills the sauna room, heating the stones to intense temperatures. Then the smoke is ventilated out before people enter. The result is this incredibly smooth, almost silky heat. Finns say smoke sauna is the purest form of sauna experience. For anyone wondering why Finns are so obsessed with saunas, you have to understand. It's not just about getting clean. Sauna is a spiritual practice, a social ritual, a place for important conversations, and even a place for healing. Traditionally, babies were born in saunas. The sick were treated in saunas, and the deceased were washed in saunas before burial. It's woven into every aspect of Finnish life. Tampere is also home to the Moomin Museum, dedicated to Tove Jansson's beloved characters. For those unfamiliar, the Moomins are these philosophical, hippopotamus-like creatures who live in Moomin Valley and have adventures that are simultaneously child-friendly and surprisingly deep. Tove Jansson was a Swedish-speaking Finn, and her Moomin stories have become part of Finland's cultural identity. The museum displays original artwork, miniature scenes from the stories, and captures the gentle, thoughtful spirit of the Moomin world. Now we're heading to what might be the most quintessentially Finnish landscape of all, Lakeland. This region in central and eastern Finland is where those 188,000 lakes are concentrated, and it's absolutely mind-bending when you see it from above. The land and water intertwine so completely that it's hard to tell where one ends and the other begins. The crown jewel of Lakeland is Lake Saimaa, Finland's largest lake, but calling it a lake is almost misleading. Saimaa is more like an interconnected system of lakes, channels, bays, and islands. It covers over 4,000 square kilometers and contains 13,000 islands. 13,000! You could spend a lifetime exploring and still discover new hidden coves and untouched shores. But Lake Saimaa holds a secret that makes it truly special. Swimming in its waters is one of the rarest seal species on Earth, the Saimaa ringed seal. Only about 400 of these seals remain, making them critically endangered. What makes them unique is their story. These seals are descended from Arctic seals that got trapped in Saimaa thousands of years ago when the Ice Age ended. As the ice retreated, the land rose, and suddenly, these seals were cut off from the ocean, isolated in a freshwater lake. Over millennia, they adapted to freshwater life, evolving into a distinct species found nowhere else on Earth. Conservation efforts for the Saimaa seal are intense. Finns take it extremely seriously. Every spring, volunteers build snowbanks along shores where seals give birth, protecting the pups from predators. Fishing is restricted in certain areas during breeding season. It's a beautiful example of how Finns don't just love nature in an abstract sense. They actively protect it. Throughout Lakeland, you'll find traditional Finnish summer cottages, or mökki. These aren't luxury vacation homes. They're usually simple wooden cabins, often without electricity or running water, located on lake shores deep in the forest. And here's the beautiful thing. Nearly half of all Finnish families own or have access to a summer cottage. It's not a rich person's privilege. It's a national way of life. The mökki experience is sacred to Finns. You go there to disconnect from modern life. You wake up with the sunrise, swim in the cold lake, spend hours in the sauna, grill fish you caught that morning, and as evening comes, you sit on the dock watching the sunset reflected in perfectly still water. No phones, no internet, no schedule. Just you and nature and time moving at its natural pace. On one of the islands in Lake Saimaa sits Suomenlinna Castle, a medieval fortress that looks like something from a storybook. Built in 1475, it rises from the water on a rocky island, accessible only by boat. The castle's 3 massive towers have stood for over 500 years, witnessing countless battles between Sweden and Russia for control of this strategically important region. Today, Suomenlinna hosts one of Finland's most prestigious events, the Suomenlinna Opera Festival. Every summer, world-class opera singers perform in the castle's courtyard. Imagine sitting on ancient stone steps as the sun sets, listening to arias echo off 500-year-old walls with the lake lapping gently below. It's absolutely magical. And now, we venture north, far north, beyond the Arctic Circle, into Finnish Lapland. This is where Finland transforms into something otherworldly. Lapland covers nearly 1/3 of Finland's land area, but holds only about 3% of its population. It's one of Europe's last true wilderness regions. First, let's address the elephant, or should I say reindeer, in the room. Yes, Lapland is the official home of Santa Claus. The town of Rovaniemi, right on the Arctic Circle line, has Santa Claus Village, where you can meet Santa any day of the year. And I'll be honest, even as an adult, there's something genuinely magical about standing on the actual Arctic Circle line, marked on the ground, with 1 foot in the Arctic and 1 foot below it. But Lapland is so much more than its Christmas association. This is where nature performs its most spectacular shows. The Northern Lights, or Aurora Borealis, dance across Lapland's skies roughly 200 nights per year. And when I say dance, I mean it literally. The aurora isn't static. It moves, it pulses, it swirls. Curtains of green, purple, and sometimes red light ripple across the darkness like celestial curtains caught in a cosmic wind. Seeing the northern lights is hard to describe to someone who hasn't experienced it. It's not just visually stunning. There's something deeply moving about it. You're watching a phenomenon caused by solar particles colliding with Earth's atmosphere, something that's been happening for billions of years, long before humans existed. Standing in the snow, in complete silence, watching the sky come alive. It puts your place in the universe into perspective. Winter in Lapland means serious business. Temperatures regularly drop to -30, -40 degrees Celsius. That's cold enough that your breath freezes instantly, creating tiny ice crystals in the air. That's cold enough that exposed skin can get frostbite in minutes. But Finns have mastered living in these conditions. They have the right clothing, the right mindset, and that sisu spirit we talked about earlier. The landscape in winter is almost alien. Trees become covered in snow, so thick they transform into white sculptures called tikilumi. The snow doesn't just sit on branches. It encases everything in these weird, rounded shapes. Forests become forests of white columns, barely recognizable as trees. Walking through a tikilumi forest feels like being on another planet. But perhaps the most interesting aspect of Lapland is its indigenous people, the Sami. The Sami have lived in this Arctic region for thousands of years, long before Finland, Sweden, Norway, or Russia existed as nations. They have their own language, actually several distinct Sami languages, their own cultural traditions, and a unique way of life built around reindeer herding. There are about 10,000 Sami people in Finnish Lapland today, and they're fighting to preserve their culture in a modern world. Traditional Sami life revolved around following reindeer herds across vast territories. The reindeer weren't just livestock. They were central to everything. Meat for food, fur for clothing and shelter, bone and antler for tools. The entire culture developed in relationship with these animals. Modern Sami people face complex challenges. How do you maintain nomadic traditions when borders and laws restrict movement? How do you keep language alive when young people are educated in Finnish or Norwegian? How do you preserve spiritual practices tied to specific sacred places when those places become tourist destinations? But the Sami spirit remains strong. Traditional joik singing, a haunting, personal form of song where each person has their own joik, like a musical name, is experiencing a revival. Sami handicrafts, called duoji, maintain ancient techniques in creating beautiful, functional items from natural materials. And Sami youth are increasingly proud of their heritage, learning the old ways while also navigating the modern world. In Lapland, you can also experience some truly wild activities. Husky sledding, where a team of energetic, happy dogs pulls you through snowy forests at surprising speeds. Reindeer sleigh rides, moving at a much more relaxed pace, which better suits the reindeer's natural temperament. Snowmobiling across frozen lakes and through Arctic wilderness. Ice fishing, where you drill through a meter of lake ice to catch fish in the frigid water below. And then there's the opposite extreme, summer in Lapland, the midnight sun period, when the sun doesn't set for weeks. In the northernmost parts of Finnish Lapland, this lasts for almost 3 months. Imagine going to bed at midnight with the sun still shining, waking up at 3 a.m. with the sun still up. It messes with your sense of time completely, but it also allows for incredible experiences. Hiking at midnight, fishing at 2 a.m., living in constant daylight. Finland has 40 national parks, each protecting unique ecosystems and landscapes. Let me take you through some of the most remarkable. Ulanka National Park in northeastern Finland near the Russian border is famous for the Karhunkierros Trail, literally the Bear's Trail. This 82-kilometer hiking route is considered one of Finland's most beautiful. You cross suspension bridges over roaring rapids, climb rocky hills for panoramic views, walk through old-growth forests where trees are hundreds of years old, and camp beside crystal-clear rivers. The park's most iconic site is Kutakongas Rapids, where the Ulankajoki River crashes over ancient rock formations in a stunning display of natural power. The sound alone is incredible, this constant roar of water that you can hear from a kilometer away. Standing next to the rapids, feeling the spray on your face, you remember that nature doesn't need humans. It existed long before us and will continue long after. Ulanka is also home to diverse wildlife. Brown bears roam these forests, though seeing one is rare since they're shy and avoid humans. There are also lynx, wolves, wolverines, and moose. For birdwatchers, the park is paradise. Rare species like the Siberian jay and golden eagles soar above the treetops. Moving to eastern Finland, we find Koli National Park. Koli is special because it's been designated Finland's national landscape. The view from Ukko-Koli, the highest peak, overlooks Lake Pilinen, a vast expanse of blue water dotted with forested islands stretching to the horizon. This view has inspired countless Finnish artists and poets. It's been painted, photographed, and written about more than perhaps any other Finnish landscape. It represents something essential about the Finnish soul. This deep connection between land and water, forest and sky. Koli changes dramatically with seasons. Summer brings hikers who climb the trails through flowering meadows. Autumn transforms the forests into blazing colors of red, orange, and yellow. Winter turns the landscape into a white wonderland, and the slopes of Ukko-Koli become one of Finland's most scenic skiing destinations. Spring brings the thaw, with ice breaking up on the lake in dramatic fashion, water returning to streams, and life awakening after the long winter sleep. Then there's Nuuksio National Park, just outside Helsinki. This is remarkable because you can be in the heart of Finland's capital. Then within an hour, you're in pristine wilderness. Nuuksio protects ancient forests, clear lakes, and dramatic rocky cliffs. It's home to the Siberian flying squirrel, one of Finland's rarest mammals. These aren't the gray squirrels you might know. Flying squirrels have membranes between their legs that let them glide between trees, sometimes up to 100 meters. Nuuksio perfectly demonstrates Finland's commitment to preserving nature alongside urban development. They didn't bulldoze these forests to expand Helsinki. They protected them, ensuring that city dwellers always have wilderness close at hand. You can spend a morning in modern museums and art galleries, then spend the afternoon paddling a canoe across a quiet forest lake where the only sounds are birdsong and your paddle dipping in the water. Repovesi National Park in southern Finland offers rugged beauty with towering cliffs, pristine lakes, and dense forests. The park's most famous attraction is the Lapland suspension bridge, which sways gently as you cross, offering breathtaking views over the water below. There's also Olhavenvuori Cliff, popular among rock climbers, where you can watch brave souls scaling the vertical rock face. And finally, Pallas Yllästunturi National Park in Lapland. This is Finland's third largest national park, covering over 1,000 square kilometers. It boasts some of the cleanest air in the world, literally measurable. The park features ancient fells, vast open landscapes above the tree line, and in winter, some of the most reliable snow conditions in Finland, making it perfect for cross-country skiing. We've talked about Finland's places, but now let's dive deeper into what makes Finnish culture truly unique. And we have to start with the sauna. I've mentioned it several times already, because it's impossible to understand Finland without understanding sauna culture. Finland has over 3 million saunas for a population of 5.5 million people. That's more saunas than cars. Almost every house or apartment building has a sauna. Companies have saunas. Parliament has a sauna. Even the presidential palace has a sauna. This isn't just a luxury or a quirky tradition. It's a fundamental part of Finnish life. The traditional sauna cycle goes like this. You heat up in the sauna until sweat is pouring off you. Then you go outside and either jump in a cold lake, or in winter, roll in the snow, or jump through a hole cut in the frozen lake. Then you return to the sauna. Repeat. The contrast between extreme heat and extreme cold is supposed to be incredibly healthy, improving circulation, boosting the immune system, and clearing the mind. But sauna is also a social space. Business meetings happen in saunas. Important political decisions have been made in saunas. Families bond in saunas. Friends catch up in saunas. There's something about sitting in the heat, without clothes, without pretense, that makes people more honest and open. Social hierarchies dissolve in the sauna. A CEO and a janitor are just two people sitting in the heat together. Now, let's talk about silence. Finns are famous for being quiet, and there are countless jokes about Finnish people's discomfort with small talk. But it's not shyness or rudeness. Finns simply don't see silence as something that needs to be filled. They're comfortable with it. If there's nothing important to say, why speak? There's a Finnish saying, one word is enough to make trouble, but one word is not enough to stop it. This reflects a cultural value of thoughtfulness before speaking. Think before you talk. Make sure your words have value. Don't speak just to fill silence. This can be jarring for visitors, especially from more talkative cultures. You might be standing at a bus stop next to a Finn, and they won't say hello or make casual conversation. But this isn't coldness. If you actually need help, Finns will bend over backward to assist you. They'll just do it without unnecessary chatting. And then there's sisu, this untranslatable Finnish word that encapsulates determination, perseverance, and resilience. It's the ability to keep going when you have nothing left. It's the courage to take on challenges even when odds are against you. It's getting knocked down and standing up again, not because you're sure you'll succeed, but because giving up isn't an option. Sisu isn't about being the strongest or the smartest. It's about refusing to quit. Finland's history is full of sisu. When the Soviet Union invaded Finland in 1939 during the Winter War, the odds were impossibly stacked against Finland. The Soviet army had 3 times more soldiers, 30 times more aircraft, and 100 times more tanks. By every measure, Finland should have been crushed in days. But Finnish soldiers, using tactics suited to their forest and winter landscape, held the Soviets off for months. They used skis to move quickly through snowy forests, wore white camouflage to blend in, and knew their terrain intimately. Individual soldiers performed incredible acts of bravery. One Finnish sniper, Simo Haiha, killed over 500 enemy soldiers. The Soviets called him White Death. Finland ultimately had to cede some territory, but they maintained their independence. This was sisu in action. The determination to resist, the refusal to ways. It's the student who studies through discouragement to graduate. It's the entrepreneur who keeps trying after multiple failures. It's the elderly person who goes for a winter swim every morning in near freezing water because it makes them feel alive. Sisu isn't loud or boastful. It's quiet determination, and it's everywhere in Finnish culture. As we reach the end of our journey through Finland, I hope you've seen that this country is more than just beautiful landscapes and interesting facts. Finland represents a different way of being in the world, a quieter way, a more connected way. In our loud, fast, constantly connected modern world, Finland offers an alternative. It suggests that maybe happiness isn't found in having more, doing more, or being more. Maybe it's found in appreciating silence, respecting nature, trusting your community, and facing life with calm determination. Whether you ever visit Finland or not, you can carry some of its wisdom with you. You can find your own moki, even if it's just a quiet space in your home. You can practice sisu in your daily challenges. You can step outside and remember that you're part of nature, not separate from it. Finland whispers rather than shouts. But if you listen carefully, it has profound things to say. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep finding your own version of happiness.